Hello, in this video I'm going to show you Doxygenerate, my entry for the InterSystems community developer community contest in December 2024. Here's the package within Open Exchange. First job is going to be to install some extra packages in my Linux environment. This one's an Ubuntu. I will run this. It's going to take a little while, so I'll pause the recording while it goes and resume afterwards. Okay, now I'm going to switch to an IRIS shell within 2024.1 instance on the same Ubuntu server as I just loaded those packages. I've got the IRIS package manager IPM ZPM installed here, so I will just go into its shell and straightforwardly install Doxygenerate. So after loading the package, the setup work will build the documentation for IRISlib, entslib, IRISsys, and also the user namespace, the one in which I'm installing the package. The build for the libraries takes a little while, so again I'm going to pause the recording while we do this. While this is building, I'll tell you a bit about Doxygenerate. It leverages the popular and well-established Doxygen tool and will build a set of static documentation for classes within any namespace you point it at. Doxygen I installed with a few minutes ago, as you saw with the package manager in Ubuntu. I also installed a couple of latex packages because Doxygen will let us produce PDF documentation as well as HTML static documentation. So what's going on at the moment is that my tool Doxygenerate has built some metadata for the IRISlib about all the classes and the methods and properties of those classes. It's then generated some Python stub files, which don't actually operate as Python files, but they have enough structure to them to allow Doxygen to build meaningful documentation. The third phase that we're waiting for here within IRISlib is Doxygen building that documentation. Out of the box, we're building static HTML pages, and we're also building two variants of self-contained PDF documents. All three types of documents have got diagrams in them showing the inheritance structure of your classes and how they inherit from the InterSystems packages. Doxygen is extremely flexible, and you can customize the way in which Doxygenerate will use Doxygen if you want to build different documentation. When the build is finished, I will use a web application hosted inside this IRIS instance as a simple front end to be able to launch the different types of documentation. That's all that the CSP page that you'll see in a bit is doing. It's purely giving you launch links for the PDF files or for the HTML files that Doxygen has built for us. Anyway, I'll pause again, wait for this to proceed past IRISlib. There's still a bit more work to do, but there's plenty of time to go and make a coffee while you're waiting. You only need to install the Doxygenerate package in one namespace on your server, and it's capable from there of documenting any namespaces that you pointed at. If you prefer not to add Doxygenerate to one of your existing IRIS instances, you can alternatively use the repository for the project to create a container, and Doxygenerate will run inside that container. You could then import into that container, into the IRIS in that container. You could import the classes of your own project and then use Doxygenerate there to build you the static files. Then, of course, you can pull the static files out of that container and publish them wherever you like. For this project, for this competition entry, I've published some static documentation generated by Doxygenerate on the George James Software website, and my articles in Developr community have the relevant links to that. So even if you don't want to install it for yourself, you can use those links to go and browse the documentation Doxygenerate produced for some packages. The documentation for the IRIS libraries only needs to be built once, unless you upgrade your IRIS version and want the documentation to reflect any new changes. Doxygen has a nice capability which allows the documentation for your application to reference the pre-built IRIS library documentation. That way, when you're browsing your classes and you find your classes inheriting from, as they typically will, inheriting from library classes or returning values of library types, you can click on links in that documentation and jump to the documentation of the relevant IRIS library class. The IRIS library, particularly IRIS lib, is so extensive that Doxygen isn't, on my system at least, able to build the PDF for it. So Doxygenerate out of the box only builds PDFs for your namespaces. IRIS lib, ENTSLib, IRIS sys databases. We don't build PDF documentation, we only build the HTML static doc. Anyway, we're progressing. We're now building the doc 4% sys, which is sizable, but nothing like as large as IRIS lib, which means shortly we'll be progressing on to the user namespace. I chose to install the IPM package in the user namespace, which means that when Doxygenerate is documenting the user namespace as it is now, it will document the classes, the packages that implement InterSystems Package Manager. It will, of course, also document its own classes, but Doxygenerate is really quite small. So there's not a lot of documentation that will come out of that. Anyway, very shortly we'll have the documentation built, and once it's there, I will flip over to browser and we can view it. So we're all done. The install of the Doxygenerate package has completed, and I'm going to quit out of Package Manager. For demo purposes, I'm going to use a launch page that the Doxygenerate installs, and you'll have it available on the same place as you would use the IRIS portal, except that The app is called /csp/Doxygen, and the launch page is called home.csp. Here we have it then. The documentation has been built for the 3 libraries. It's been built for user, and the launch page gives you the option for building it for any other namespaces that it finds in your environment. For demo purposes here, I'm going to show you quickly the user documentation. We won't generate other documentation here because, as you've seen, it can take a while to do that, particularly with large applications. So first up is the HTML documentation, and I'll just click on that one. As you can see, it's just a static page. Index.html is where it starts from. This is all built by Doxygen. In the packages view here, we can see what packages we've got. We have the GJS John Murray Doxygenerate package with its utils class. We have a top-level test package, which has some package manager tests, because remember we installed the InterSystems package manager here. We have the IPM installer class, and under the underscore here, we've gathered together any % packages here. So in this case, this is %IPM, and the various items down in here. These, of course, we can drill into, find out what's in IPM general. Let's take a look at abstract settings. So here's the abstract settings class reference, comments brought over, a diagram, an inheritance diagram, showing how abstract settings down here has 3 superclasses. Singleton, which inherits from registered object, iConfigurable, and %persistent here. Looking at the details of its members, public member functions, so these are instance methods, static public member functions, these are class methods, public attributes would be properties, or private attributes if they've been declared as private properties. Static public attributes, we put parameters in at this point. Then if we're inheriting some here, you can find out what we've inherited here from Singleton, a couple of parameters we've inherited from that, a couple of parameters we've inherited from iConfigurable. As you'd expect with any of these, if you want to go and find out more about the return type, this is %library.boolean. Click on that, and now we're into the IRIS lib database documentation. Anyway, I will go back to the Doxygenerate index page and give you a quick taster of the PDFs. I'll go at this point for the what's called the simpler PDF. Simpler in the sense that when we look at the inheritance diagrams, we're not going to have so much of the inheritance tree. So if we take a look here, abstract, the class called abstract, inherits, this is a test case abstract class. It's inheriting from %unit test.test case. And we're not showing what that test case superclass itself inherits from. And that's really just because Otherwise, your diagrams can get very extensive. So this particular one, abstract, the abstract class reference, this is in the RefMan brief PDF. If you, let me just duplicate this link over to here. And we're going to be not so brief RefMan. And just go and find that one, which is around about page 40. Page numbers don't take account of the indent. So here is an inheritance of abstract. This is the different. This is page 34. So we need to go on to the abstract. This one, abstract. So here, abstract is inheriting from test case is inheriting from registered object, which is inheriting from base and from system base. By comparison, in the brief, we don't go further back than the one from the library package, and when we look at that, we don't even see the inherited members. Anyway, that's probably enough for now. That's Doxygenerate. Give it a go if you like it, and if it's not too late, please vote for it in the contest. Voting closes 22nd of December 2024 at midnight Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for watching.